Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating book called The Gospel According to Spiritism. What it does is offer a pretty unique way of looking at some of the most profound and, let's be honest, sometimes puzzling moral teachings we've ever encountered.
For centuries, people have really wrestled with teachings from the Gospels that just seem to defy simple logic. Take this one for example. Why would Jesus ever say that those who suffer are actually blessed? On the surface, it sounds like a total contradiction.
And then you've got this one, which feels, well, almost superhuman, right? To love your enemies? That goes against just about every basic instinct we have for self-preservation. So how can that possibly be a practical, real-world moral law? And finally, there's this very mysterious statement. If his kingdom isn't here, then where is it? And more importantly, what does that mean for us, for our lives right here on Earth? These are the exact kinds of questions that have sparked endless debate for thousands of years. Well, the book we're looking at today suggests that maybe these aren't contradictions at all. It claims to have a kind of logical key, a framework for understanding that can unlock a consistent and even just system of moral law hidden behind Jesus' words. So what is this key? Well, according to the book, this whole way of thinking is built on two foundational ideas. And when you put them together, they create a completely new lens for looking at these ancient teachings. Okay, so the first principle is reincarnation. The idea is that our life right now, it isn't the beginning and it's not the end. Instead, our soul lives through many, many lifetimes. It's all part of this long journey of learning, making mistakes, and gradually getting better, moving towards moral and intellectual perfection. And the second principle is the law of cause and effect. You might know it as karma. This idea proposes that nothing is random. Our circumstances today, the good stuff, the talents we have, and especially our struggles, are the direct results of choices we made and actions we took in previous lives.
All right, so with that two-part key in mind, let's see how it works. How does this help us unlock that first big puzzle about the meaning of suffering? This is where you see a really radical shift in perspective. Instead of seeing suffering as just random bad luck or some kind of punishment from God, this view says it has a very clear purpose. It's either an expiation, which basically means paying off a moral debt from the past, or it's a proof, which is like a test designed to help us grow and develop virtues like patience or courage. And suddenly, that famous teaching starts to look completely different. When Jesus says, "Blessed are the afflicted," this framework suggests what he really means is that they're fortunate. Why? Because they have a chance to settle their spiritual accounts. By facing these trials, they're actually liberating themselves for the future. So the big takeaway here is that Earth isn't supposed to be a paradise, and it's not a prison either. It's more like a special kind of school, or maybe a spiritual hospital. It's a place where souls come to learn the hard lessons, heal from their past mistakes, and ultimately to progress. So if life is this big journey of progress, you might be wondering, what's the fuel? What drives it forward? Well, according to this book, the answer is simple: charity. This quote right here is pretty much the central theme of the entire book. It's an absolute statement. It's not saying salvation comes from a certain belief or a ritual. It says salvation comes from one specific action and way of being: charity. It's presented as the one supreme condition for spiritual growth. But what does charity really mean in this context? It's so much more than just donating money. The book breaks it down into three key things. First, benevolence, just having goodwill for everybody. Second, indulgence, which means being patient and understanding with other people's flaws. And third, total forgiveness for any harm done to us. And really, this is how you truly begin to love your enemies. Okay, so let's use our key one last time to try and unlock that mysterious statement from Jesus about his kingdom not being of this world. And this is where we see the really epic scale of the soul's journey. The source material describes this whole cosmic ladder of different worlds. We start in primitive worlds. We evolve through worlds of trial and error, like Earth. Then we move on to what are called regenerative and happy worlds, and the ultimate goal is to reach the celestial worlds, where only good exists. So it all leads to this powerful conclusion. Jesus' kingdom isn't some political thing here on Earth. It's the spiritual world. That's our true home, the ultimate destination. This perspective completely reframes our life here. It's no longer the main event. It's just one temporary, really challenging, but absolutely vital chapter in a much, much bigger story.
All right, let's wrap this all up. The gospel, according to Spiritism, basically gives us a framework to see Jesus' moral teachings as logically consistent. It uses the ideas of reincarnation and cause and effect to reframe suffering not as a punishment, but as a real chance to grow. It defines true charity as the one true path forward. And it shows our life here on earth as just one short but incredibly meaningful leg of an eternal spiritual journey. The book essentially argues that these moral laws are as reliable and as constant as a physical law like gravity. And that kind of leaves us with one final big question to think about. If that's really the case, if every single action truly has an equal and opposite reaction across lifetimes, what does that imply about the ultimate nature of justice in the universe?